Hello, you right?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I can hear you now. I just
Yeah.
started flashing. I was like, "What's happening?" And then yeah,
Yeah.
it's gone on now. That's fine.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all right. All right.
Good, good,
Getting
good.
shit done.
Just
Getting shit done.
some yeah.
So
So
I managed to hoover the office for the first time in 3 months yesterday.
oh
I know, right? That's how much I've got done.
yeah, I have not hoovered my garage because I've got like carpet like a laid carpet all the way from top to end, and I haven't even bothered for
Yeah.
about a year.
Yeah. The thing is when you're cutting the labels off the items, they all those little bits go on the floor, don't
Yeah,
they? Yeah,
little plastic bits. Yeah.
that's it.
God.
I think we got there. I was gonna say I think we got Claire joining, but she's just joined. It was pretty good.
Morning.
Morning, you're right.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. On
Good
this
stuff.
grey Friday morning.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's sunny here actually. You can probably tell from the it's quite sunny.
Yes.
Um, I think Jim's joining. Um, he did mention about if we're going to do one at 9:30, maybe do something about a pension for resellers. So that's going to be one of the topics today.
I will get my pen and paper ready because I feel like I need to write this down.
Oh, excuse me.
I've not done a lot of research. Um, how was sales last week?
I've had one,
One.
which is
Wow. Okay.
better than some weeks. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it's just been like I say, like sort of activity's just been so just so low that like
Mm.
the sales are matching. So it's like I'm not bothered. Like I have a job that pays all of the bills, so like it's not a big issue. So but
Yeah.
I know that once I've got lots of time in the next week to kind of like really throw at it. So I know that the more time I sink into it, the better things do. So which is
Yeah.
what I
Exactly.
was wanted. So
Yeah. Mine was £170 last week, according to eBay, which
well
is
done.
not
Well,
compared to it's yeah. Um, that's the first time I've dropped below 200 to a week in probably over 18 months. So it's definitely. I mean, I had a £74 day, which is like wow, things are changing, and then yeah, nothing yesterday and nothing the day before, and obviously nothing today. So 3 days on the trot potentially could be nothing. Which is not ideal for me, but that's fine. George, how was yours for the week?
It started like from last weekend was really good. Um, and then it kind of started petering off a little bit. It kind of got below. I was basically doing like part-time hours. It felt like, like
Yeah.
it kind of felt like that. And then it kind of picked up on Wednesday. Yesterday was pretty decent. I got one really good sale and then a couple of kind of like low value sales. But yeah, it just about hit my target then. But
Okay.
but yeah, it's been weird. It started off strong and then it kind of dipped and then it's just on its way up. So I'm hoping today might be a really good day.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, I've been listing every day, and after setting all of my stuff to auction, 7 day auction last week, I had 150 drop off because they didn't relist themselves. So that's what
Uh,
this pile is behind me. It's just going through what I really can be bothered to try and sell, or is it going to be a car boot job? Um, and just putting them back on again, and I'm back up to 1,300 listings.
but I don't know if you saw, but like I checked, I've been doing like a bit of an inventory check. I was just consolidating some of the smaller boxes so I can get rid of them into the
Yeah,
bigger boxes, and I've been finding like lots of items that have completely disappeared from eBay, completely. And it's not just like one or two things. Out of 10 boxes, I can't remember how much money it was, but there was like 60 odd items missing.
yeah,
And I was like, oh my God. So I'm checking all of my items, but now I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, the majority of them are quite low value and they've just been they've been up for a while. So now I'm
mm,
thinking, do I want to put them back up on my shop, or like you, like should have just get rid of them
Yeah.
now. Like just I've made money off other things that is compensated for this. They're like things I've probably got in like, you know, like bundles of stuff, and they're just, oh, I'll try it up, I'll put it up for a tenner and just sit, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've checked, there's only 2 or 3. There was a barber coat that wasn't up, and I
Mm.
was like, where is that gone? It's completely gone. I've gone into unsold, because usually when it goes off, drops off, you can still, and cannot find it in there. And I know I've listed it, or else I wouldn't have put it in a box.
Yeah, of course.
And a Furby, an actual fur, like a fur baby Furby one. So it's like 40 odd quid, this one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, because I know it's listed because it's cross listed onto my Depop. So it's like, where it's gone. So it's one of those eBay mysteries. So what I'm doing is now, like, this is what's taking up so much time. I had loads of stuff planned, and now I'm like, oh, I've got to get this done because it's 4:45. So I've been kind of going through my boxes. I've been bringing a couple home every now and then and just going through them. But it's good. It's also good. I'm trying to look at it as a positive, saying, oh, well, at least my stock will be kind of more leaner if I get rid of stuff, or if I kind of and also I'll be a bit more organized for 4:45. So I'm trying to look on the positive side.
And they're going back on as if they're like a brand new item as well. So eBay algorithm will kind of kick in and
exactly. I do have a box there, and I'm like, I could just like pick and choose that, so I don't really need to source anything.
No,
you know,
that's true.
I've got it there. So swings and roundabouts, I suppose, but it's kind of annoying, and it's kind of scary that out of the first 10 boxes that I checked, I got like 60 odd items. I think it was a couple of $100, but still.
Yeah, even still, it shouldn't be dropping off anyway. Jim, welcome. You're right. You're on mute. No. Claire's muted as well. I'm assuming she's muted that on purpose.
Yeah, just a sort of old practice from lots and lots of Teams meetings.
That's it.
Yeah.
I've just asked you to unmute. Did something pop up? Better? No. You are unmuted, so it might be your headset.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
There we go. All right.
You right?
Sorry, I had it. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I had it on the laptop speaker and mic, not my headset. Yeah, good morning. Nice. Sorry, I'm late.
It's been a while. How have you been?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, ticking along.
Nicely.
No complaints.
Nice
no complaints on yourself?
Yeah, all right. All right. We managed to get school holidays out of the way. It was a bit of a pain, but they're gone now. How have your sales been?
You know, I have done very, very little by way of reselling in the last couple of months, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We've got a new little one at home. So, I mean, I've not been doing a great deal anyway, but I don't know if I said last time we spoke that I've kind of moved to, in fact, I don't have anything on eBay anymore. Yeah. I basically pick up stuff as and when I can, bundle it, and then sell it on to a few fellow resellers. So there's a bit of kind of meat in it for them. So, but it's really a pocket money exercise for me, and I've not done a great deal of it, to be really frank. Over the last sort of month, 6 weeks, I've had, you know, my wife's been away on holiday and kids and stuff like that, and summer holidays. So it's not been a great time, despite it being car boot season. But I've barely been out. I could probably count the number of car boots I've been to on one hand this year.
That's more than I have. Let's just say it's more than I have. Not too many. You put a nice message in to say that, what about reseller pensions? So should we talk about that? Try and figure out.
We can. Yeah. Sorry, really exciting topic for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Woo! Save money for the future. Don't do that. So I've had a little bit of a look. For me, I've got a pension set up with the limited company that I run for the bookkeeping stuff. So whenever I was hiring Caroline, that she would obviously get a pension as well. So that get put in, and I get pension put in that for me as well. And it's not a lot, a month. But ultimately, if you are a sole trader and you are a reseller, what I found as a couple, I mean, I use Nest for the company one, and I've closed it down because I'm an idiot. And there's also Pension B that I've been looking and hearing a lot about. They can merge all your pensions together. But
One pension B.
there you go. There you go. Bit of self promotion for Pension B. I know that when you're employed, essentially you put in 3% of your own wages, and the company puts in 5% on top.
Yeah,
but as
it
a
can
reseller,
vary.
it can
It
vary.
can vary, yeah, with a workplace pension. But yeah, you're not obligated really as a sole trader.
No, exactly. So I was wondering, at what point and at what percentage do you take money out of the pot to put in a pension? Do you do the 8% to try and kind of match what a company would do and yourself, or do you just do 5%, 10% of your profit or revenue? How do you think you would work that out?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I get a workplace pension from my main job.
Yeah.
But the reason why this came up, and I was like, we should talk about this, is because I was speaking to a few reseller friends of mine, and none of them had made any provision.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is pretty common. And like, I mean, I'm amazed that two of you are doing something about it. That's because I think like you need to have a plan. I think, and I'm not a professional in this field. Wouldn't purport to give any tax or wealth advice to anyone, but I think all the responses I got from people when I was saying, what do you think you're going to do, was like, oh, I'll just do it until I'm 80. I'll probably be reselling until I'm in the grave, kind of thing. And for me, that felt like a quite naive response, to be honest with you.
100%.
And I think even if you decide not to go down the private pension route, you just want to, maybe you put a few quid in premium bonds or some other NSI, ISA, whatever it is, I think you should have a plan, right? And even if that plan is at a minimum, I think even if your plan is, well, I'm going to get state pension and then I'll probably do part-time work on top of that, I think people need to be making sure that they're getting their applicable years of contributions for national insurance to make sure that they're due state pension as well, because the people I asked didn't even know if that was happening, and
you can check that on HMRC, can't you?
Yeah. You can, and it doesn't, the contributions don't need to be huge, but yeah, I was just amazed that there were so many people that didn't seem to have any sort of plan. I think that's the key, right? I think as long as you're thinking about it as soon as you can, that's important, regardless of what that is. You're hiding pennies in a jar under the mattress, it doesn't really matter. I think as long as you're thinking about something.
I mean, we've got to kind of think long term. I mean, for me, it's probably going to be another 25 years, so that's be 67 by the time I retire, so another 25 years. But even if you think 30, 40 years ahead, most people don't think that far ahead. And you've also got to think about what's the government going to be doing in 40 years' time. I mean, this isn't fact, this is just me speculating. But I would imagine that there's so many pension companies that have got private pensions, and your pension pot is over X amount, they're not going to be paying that pension, right? They're not going to be giving you a state pension because you've already got a pot worth X amount of money. Now, cascade that down, and you haven't put in any money from your tax, and you don't have any pot money in the pension pot through HMRC, then you won't be getting a state pension because you won't have contributed to that point. Which is why it's so important that you do a self-assessment, so you do pay the tax, so you do get your state pension, right? So ultimately,
I think so, because I think the UK state pension is relatively generous. I had a little look into it last night, and it's something like 200 quid a week. It makes up to just under, I think, 900 or a grand a month.
Yeah.
Which obviously doesn't sound like a huge amount, but in terms of the assumption is that you've paid off mortgage or whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
So I think it's relatively generous. And I think
Yeah.
if your plan is, I'm going to rely on that, fair enough. You've at least thought of it. But I would not be happy with just relying on the state pension because, as you say, the birth rate is in decline. There is, I think there's the potential for the pension age to go up. Most people who are, probably in their 20s and 30s are going to be 68, 69, 70 before that comes into play.
Absolutely.
As you say, we're looking at 30, 40 years away. That's not to say that age won't increase.
And you've got to take into account inflation as well. That pension pot isn't going to have the same amount of spending power in 20, 30 years' time as it does today.
No, and the UK state pension has a triple lock in place, so it does grow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's linked to RPI or it's inflation or whatever. I assume it's RPI, but there's, I only read the other day that there's potential for that triple lock to be removed just because of the fact that the government can't afford it. So I think personally, and this isn't to cast aspersions on anyone out there that might listen who's thinking, I can't do it, I won't do it, that's miles away. But I think that everyone should do something separate I think everyone should make sure that they're going to be entitled to the state pension when that comes around, and everyone should think about putting some money away. Even if it's a tiny, tiny amount, regardless of your age, the fact that the interest will compound over 30, 40, however many years, I think you need to do it, right, to give yourself some kind of life.
On the video that I upload later, I'll put the link into the HMRC pension checker, state pension checker, so everyone can have a look and see if they're entitled to a state pension, because it might be the case that you are, I don't know, 50, 55, and you're not going to, and you are a sole trader and you're not putting in enough money to put that pension pot up, and you can put in lump sums to bring that to the point, right? So for the sake of, I don't know, you need to put £500 in to get £20 a month extra a month, you're going to do that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. You can pay lump sums to get the years that you may not have missed at the time back in terms of those payment years. I forget how many years you need to have made contributions for NI. It's maybe 35, 40, something like that. But you can, if you've missed one, you can pay them back. And they're not necessarily huge. I mean, I logged into mine and there was one year where I made like £38 worth of contributions, when I was like 15 doing a paper round or something like that. I got a year's worth for barely providing anything.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money.
I think it's super important because even if all you're going to do is rely on the state pension, I was reading that to get a private pension pot to the point where you'd be getting about £1,000 a month, it was something like £500,000 in a pension pot, which is pretty damn significant. I think the UK average pension pot at retirement age is about 110 grand. So I think for the sake of making sure you're making NI contributions, like that's money for old rope to get like a pretty decent wage when it hits retirement
I've got
age.
the pension fee calculator up at the moment. Should we just have a play around with it? That might be quite interesting.
I'm just playing with it now and just I'll wait for you to do it. You've got it on the big screen. Yeah, that's what I was on.
Yeah. So essentially, right, I'm 42 and my retirement age is 67. I do have pension in Aviva from my old company, but I won't take that into account. So if we say we haven't got a pension at the moment, right? And our desire, like I said, £1,000 a month. So that's 12 grand, right? Oh, get it right. Come on. Oh, this is so annoying. Let's just leave it there. Right, 12,000. Okay. And you're putting in, this is telling us how long that would last for if you're putting in 60 and your company's putting in 180. So £240 a month you'd need to put in over the next 25 years in order to, I mean, that includes full
the
state
state
pension.
pension, which is 10, I think something like 10,600 a year.
Okay, so if I take that out, and you take your tax free, that's only going to last you till what, 73, and that's kind of a lot of money, really, £240 a month. I suppose employer's not going to be included because essentially, what's that going to? You're working for yourself, right? So employer's not going to be included. So if you put in, let's say, £100 a month from your profit, and just say we don't know what that age is going to be yet. So you're on track to have 37,900 at retirement. If you take £0 a year, you'll, what, I don't know. I think it's because of this desired income, right?
Mm.
Okay. So you've got,
Yeah.
you don't
I
include
think that
state.
kind of shows, right, that £100 a month from now gives you 40 grand, but that grows almost exponentially given the interest compounding. So I think
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
the sooner you can start doing this, the better. You know, and the people I was speaking to were like late 20s, younger than I, and I was just like, just do it, even if it means you're a little bit harder off. Just stick something away now, because when you wake up when you're 50 and start thinking, oh shit, I need to start doing this, actually, like you're
So,
right. I mean, you see, the money it's not huge amounts. I mean, 40
no,
grand sounds like a lot of money. I would take it tomorrow, but you know,
but you got to
to
last it
last
for
you
20 odd years, right? If you live to
exactly
100,
right,
you have to live to
exactly.
90. Quite interestingly, this personal contributions of 100 and your desired annual retirement income is 2,400 a year, so £200 a month. It's going to last you quite a while, till 85. So that's going to last you 18 years. Even if you wanted, I don't know, £200 a month, £400 a month, let's say. I get it right. I'll not do. It's only going to last you 7. But that includes taking 25% out tax free at 55, right? But it's definitely worth doing, 100%.
Yeah, I think regardless of the rate, if it's £1 or whatever it is, I think it's something that people should do as soon as they can, right? Whatever you can afford. I think I think saying that you can't afford it, I think everyone can kind of tighten up a little bit, even if it's, you know, the tiniest amount. My very unlearned advice to anyone would be the earlier you start making contributions, the better.
Yeah, 100%.
Do something.
Yeah. I was about to say something, and it's gone. I think I started putting into a private pension when I was about 22, I think.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, the work's put in as well at the same time. Oh, it's gone. How annoying is that? How annoying is that? So, okay, you have a pension, don't you? Do you have a pension with your company?
Not with my sole trader company. I have with various PAYE jobs I've been put into pensions. And I think the job I'm in now has put me into a pension. But I've never really given them any thought. Like, even to the point, I've never thought such long term, to the point in a previous job when they automatically opted me in, I opted myself out because I was like, I need that money now. I can't.
Yeah, of course.
Old age Claire can wait. She can she can just struggle so that I can have the money now. And I just never even thought that long term. I think for a lot of people, me included, we turn to jobs like reselling because it is something that you could probably do up until the point at which you just drop.
You just can't do it anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like because the jobs I'm doing now, I can't envisage myself at like 65 still doing it, because I'll retire when I'm 70, and it's like I look at my parents and my grandparents when they were that age. I'm like, you can't expect them to do any work.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Never
And
mind.
why
Yeah.
should they? They've worked
Yeah.
they've worked their entire life. Why should they
Yeah, so it's
work
never
at that
something I've
age?
really even thought about. I guess I've thought about like what my life might look like at that point, and I kind of wanted to develop the reselling business to such a point where like I'm making passive income, where like I wanted to have a shop where by that point someone else is managing it, I'm just taking the profits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I wanted. That would be the business, would be my pension.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I envisaged it, but I never thought I didn't know anything about state pensions, or like I think there's various little pensions that I've been put in with work, but I've collected all the letters that I get randomly through the door, but haven't done anything with them. I know I probably should, like pension be like find someone to merge them all together and find them for me, but
Yeah. I
never
mean,
really
most people that kind of, when they say I need more money, they try and make more money, but at the same time, if you try and reduce your expenses down, you're essentially taking more profit, right? So quite regularly, maybe once a year, I go through my direct debits in our joint account, and I'll say, right, okay, why are we paying that much for that? Like Sky increased us from 55 to 78 because the contract had ended, and now I'm back down to what, 60. So essentially, what you could do is look at your monthly bills, and if you can reduce them down by 50 quid, put that 50 quid into a pension pot, because you're still paying the same amount of money out every month, but you're obviously adding to a pension at the same time.
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, I think I will. Like, as Jim says, maybe just put in like a pound or so, something that I won't miss.
Yeah.
Just something like every week or so, just like, because you're not going to miss a quid. I spend that on sort of like, stuff when you're out and about, drinks and snacks and whatever. So yeah, I think I will look into it, because it's not something, as I say, it's just not something I thought of. Like, I'm going to retire in the next like 40 years. So.
But how much would that pot be in 40 years' time? You wouldn't have to work at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say one more piece. I mean, for me, we released equity from our house because there was enough to do it, and we bought a flat in Nottingham, and that is essentially our retirement fund. So once all the mortgage is paid off, that's probably, I mean, it's generating 700 a month at the moment. So essentially, that should, if we keep hold of it, that rent will probably increase over the next 20 odd years. I believe it shouldn't increase, but rent's rent, right? But I was going to say, George, you've got a pension B at the moment.
I do. I'm just looking at it
now. How much? And this is probably you don't have to give us any figures, but do you put a certain percentage in, or is it just a flat rate that you put in every month?
No, so I basically do the minimum at the moment. It's just I opened it because when I left I have a local government pension. I only got a few years into that, so it's only a certain amount, but I can't remember. I think it's not a lot. I think it's just short of 10 grand. It's not a lot, but it's because I think I know that because when Pension B asked me to, do you want to collect all your pensions and everything, and I was like, yeah, okay then. And I said, I'm sure I've got a Nest one somewhere, but Nest were a bit awkward. They wouldn't tell me where it is, and I said, well, here's my national insurance number. You can actually check it, And I think it's not. I don't think that's a lot, but yeah, it was a bit awkward. And the local government one, they said they issue you like lots of. Oh God, sorry, mate, going off. Yeah, the local government one, they give you like a pack of information. You have to call them up, and you jump through quite a lot of hoops, and they send you like a big pack of everything, and then you've got to sign off on that to say yes, where is it going and where is it, and then send it back. But they only give you, once they've issued it on their end, they give you 2 weeks to sign it back and send it off. and it missed it by a day because of just because of the post. It's like, oh my god. So pension B was on one end going, where is it? Yeah. And then the local government one, I was trying to chase them up, and they were like, oh well, you should have sent it back in time. It's like, well, you shouldn't have only 2 weeks to say, it was a whole thing.
Course.
So I was just like, right, I won't touch it. And I spoke to a friend of mine who works in this kind of area, and she said, oh well, your local government one is quite a good one anyway. Like the Manchester one is actually quite a good one. So it's like, okay, so your benefits, and it's sort of untouchable. You won't really worry. You'll probably get like next to nothing every month, but it'll be fine. You don't really need to add it to your pension pot right now because you've still got like 30 odd years left. Like 35 years
over time.
Yeah, so I've left that there. That's like the long, long kind of answer. But my pension B, what I decided to do, oh well, I like the setup, I like the app, and I like the, it's very interactive, and it's very kind of, it gives you a forecast and everything, and what you've just seen. So I thought, oh, I'll just put in a little amount. I was trying to figure out how much I actually put in. I think it was like 3.5% contribution at my old work. I think it was 3.5%, something like that, and it was a couple of hundred every month. I think it was a couple. I think it was it 200 and something at a certain point. Yeah. So, but what I've been putting in, £10 every fortnight. I'm just looking at it. It's basically just £20 a month. So it's basically like a £5 a week, which works out in terms of weekdays £1 a day. It's not breaking the bank as such. I went through a bit of a life reset a few years ago, and like you said, I went through all my finances because I needed to, and that's the whole story. But I cut down on so much stuff. Like I used to smoke, and I cut down smoking, and that just, I mean, for health reasons as well. But like that just freed up so much money. It's scary how much money you think, oh, it's just a vice. It's just I have a bottle of wine for this week, or I have. Go out for you cut down on things. It's amazing how much it accumulates. These tiny little things. It's like, wow, I've got so much money. So I thought, right, okay, I'll do that. But I was reinvesting that in the business at the time, and so now I was just putting in £10 every other week. But I also put in, I know this is a bit of a kind of, it's related because it's about retirement. I open up like an ISA, and I put the minimum amount every month in my ISA, so it's split between that. And I was speaking. I was watching. I don't know if you've watched her. She's gone through a bit of it. Mama Furfur.
No, I've not heard of her.
She's a Scottish. She talks about reselling a little bit. She's not a reseller. She's more about personal finance. She had quite a big YouTube channel. She's gone through a lot of personal things at the moment, but she broke things down really well about ISAs and about stocks and shares, crypto, all that kind of personal finance stuff. He said pensions are great. Like I've got pay your personal pension and your national state pension and everything. But if something happens to you, then, and say like if you're single like me, it's like you can't nominate a person to inherit that pension. It'll be gone.
Yeah.
Say like with the state pension. However, if you put the amount into stocks and shares over time, it, like you say, it's compound interest. It accumulates.
The dividends get paid in, and then they can buy more of those shares, right?
Exactly, and it's one of those, and it spirals. And she worked out. She said, personally, I think if you've got this amount of disposable income, you don't really need to do this. But she says if you can max out the contributions to your ISA of 20,000, because of course we've all got 20,000 line up. She said it's not a serious kind of thing, but it's like it's interesting. It's like over 8 years, it'll take in compound interest. It'll only take 8 years of full contributions to an interest pay out the 20 grand again. So 20 grand interest free, not interest rate, tax free. To come back to you, it'll take you 8 years maxing out those ISA contributions. So, but that's quite interesting because if you break it down, like if you say like you're in your 20s, and if you're very lucky to have a job where you could have saved at least 5 grand a year, if that's possible, it will take you every year to save that 5 grand. But if you make it to retirement age at say like 60, that's 40 years of contributions. You could be looking at like a payout in tax-free income, and that is genuine passive income of like between 18 and 20 grand, possibly more because you've had it in for longer. So it's very interesting how like she worked it out. But I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I've been putting money into an ISA, and that's going to be like a rolling ISA that I'm having. I'm no way near maxing out the contributions. I think I think it's about £20. It's about £40 a month. But I've kind of like, I'm going to try. I want to increase my contributions as I get more. So when my bills pay off, so when my final credit card pay off, the amount that I'm putting away, that I was paying off my minimum payment, and then I'm paying a little bit extra to get rid of it. That amount, so it's not going to go back in the business. It's going to be divvied up amongst my savings. So I'm not like, oh, I've got like so many, like a couple £100 extra from a business. No, because I'm doing all right on that front. I don't need to reinvest it. I could, but I don't. But I'll put it in my savings so I won't miss it. You know, if I don't have it, I won't miss it. So that £200 is kind of like earmarked, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so that's basically what I do. I've got I pay national insurance, so you pay your pet state pension, and I've got so many qualifying years. Yeah, you need, is it 30 or 35? I think it's 35, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 35. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. I think I could. I think it's another. I checked it recently, actually, earlier on in the year, because Martin Lewis said, because I've listened to Martin Lewis, he said, check it because of the interest rates, you can pay it cheaper earlier on. I think it was in March, wasn't it? He was saying this, but now the interest rates have gone ridiculous. But
it's not a bad idea. I mean, putting into your pension as well, but like I say, you can't grab it. You can't grab it if you need it quick. So
yeah.
I wouldn't say a percentage. Probably what I might start doing is putting 5% of my revenue away from the reselling into some form of investment. Either it's the FTSE 100 as an index fund, or I've already got a shit ton of crypto, so I'm not going to put any more into that. And just other, maybe some funds like the real estate investment trusts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I think house prices are going to start coming down soon, but ultimately, you'll get the rent and the dividends from them anyway. So it's not a bad idea to have something that you can liquidate quite quick if you need it, right?
Yeah.
Because they do say save up 6 months worth of your expenses in a savings account.
And they do like with the certain ISAs, there's certain ISAs out there that do not penalise you for actually doing that, for needing it. If you need it quick, like literally within a couple of days, there's certain ISAs where they don't, because there's some where if you've got a fixed rate and you've got to be in that fixed rate for so many years, they will penalise you by like so many percentage, like, and that'll wipe out the interest essentially. But yes, but there's some that don't, and it's completely fine. I think my one, I've got something called Moneybox, and that's an app, and I've got a like it's like a pension, not a pension, it's like an ISA, but it's one of those ones we're saving up. Me and my brother were putting money away to save up for a mortgage because we're going to buy together for my parents, because it's a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a lifetime ISA that we've got, and the government puts in, I think it's maximum, if you put in 4,000, they put in a extra grand.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, we're doing
25%, do they?
Yeah, it's 25%, and it actually you can see it. Yeah, I'll try and. It's on my phone, so I can't bring it up on me. I don't have any sort of like apps on my tablet. All I've got is Disney Plus, so I can't like share it. All right, where is it? You can actually see it. Basically, at the end of the month, it says "all government contributions," and it'll put up. It's loading there. My internet's shocking, but yeah, it says government contributions, and it's usually at the end of the month that you don't pay it in. You've got to. It just shows you as an example, like, but it's in there. So once you buy a house to release, that's when the government pays them kind of thing.
Okay.
But, yeah, but it's like you say. I think it's really important to think about it. Like you said, it's like I remember what I was like in my 20s. And it's like, I didn't not know about this kind of thing, like, you know, your pensions and all that lot and saving for the future. But you just think you're invincible at the end of the day. You think, oh, it's not good, but I've got time. It's that kind of thing. Oh, I get it. But then I was thinking, actually, time is so short. It goes so quickly. Over the past like 10 years, that's what's been the biggest life lesson. Like, it goes so quickly. So actually, just even if you're the minimum amount, like it
I swang from one extreme to the other because I was maxing out credit cards when I was 18, 19, like £500, £1,000 credit cards. I had like 3 of them. And then it's like, shit, I got to pay this back somehow. And then the sudden realization of that, and then it kind of, my mindset flipped the other way. And just like paying that out to spent about a year, 18 months paying those off. And then it just kind of like any money that I was getting extra in pay rises, I wasn't spending it. So it got to the point where I think I was living when I was working for the company, I was at probably 60% of my income as my general monthly spend. So I was spending 40% below the means, essentially, because I knew I was just putting that money away every time. And a lot of people spend to their means, and then they get a pay rise. They go, "Woohoo! Let's get a brand new car." Like, but your car still works. Why you get a brand new car? So I don't know if it must be a mindset thing, and I think that society of people will say, "Well, that's what you do, isn't it?" It's because society they've been trained and drummed into. That's what you do when you get a pay rise.
Yeah, and I think some people like genuinely, like I've been hand to mouth at one point, and it's like, oh my god, like I've been there, and I never. You don't. If you've ever been that close,
yeah.
I don't want to say it's dramatic. It's dramatic. Say destitution. It's not. It's not. But you know what I mean. It's very, very close that you do not forget it, and it's like I will do it. I will do everything I can never, because you see other people who have gone through that, and it's like, wow. But I think obviously the most inspiring is like, you know, you see them and then they've made it out, and but I came close to it. It's like I can't imagine going through what some people have gone through. So I was just, that was bad enough for me. So I thought, no, I need to prepare for the future, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. No, what's the word? Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That kind of yeah. So that's how I'm trying to live my life at the moment. So, but I do think, and it's just, you know, even if it's like you say, doing a couple of pennies in a jar, saving. I do agree with a lot of people who say like, oh, it's not taught in schools. Like money management is not taught in schools. Yeah, we can do trigonometry, but I'm not using that now.
No,
I'm doing
exactly.
Percentages is fine. But like money management is probably the most important thing in your life, because it's the one thing that affects you. And when money wise, in terms, we've fluctuated quite a lot, and I would just note the stress that it's put on you. I mean, that's not healthy. So it has a knock-on effect for your health. So I think personally, my soapbox moment, I do believe that we need to teach money in schools and money management and finances, and because right now we're not, and there's so many people in debt, and there's so many people using debt to get out of this financial situation that we're in at the moment, like using credit cards and stuff out of necessity, and it's just it's scary.
Yeah, it's just paying debt for more debt, isn't it? It's not, you're not actually clearing the problem. So Claire, is that helpful?
Yeah, no, it's all been really helpful to kind of have a different perspective, because as I say, like I'm 29, so I'm still at the age where I think I'm invincible. I don't need to think about the future, and I'm going to have this energy for the rest of my life. I'm going to be able to work all the way up to 70 apparently, but I'm not. So to kind of have like information and different sort of ideas about how to plan and what I could be doing now that will help in the future, because I gave no thought to like sort of pension age Claire. She's a different person. Me now, I need the money, like I need, like, just never thought of it. So I am going to have I've written some of this down. I'm going to have a sort of a research later just to see what it is I can do.
I'll put a link in the chat as well, and I'll send it to you on Instagram, and I'll put a link in the description on the video too for the HMRC stuff.
Claire, I don't want you to feel like this is like anyone's like preaching to you here, right? To be honest with you,
No,
what
I
I would
don't feel that at
say
all.
Yeah, of course.
is what I was reading last night is that I think it was 50 to 60% of people, even at pensionable age, have not thought about this. So I don't want you to sit here and thinking, oh, these other three, they're all thinking about it. Why am I not? That is like, you are in the majority here, not
You
the
are in the
minority.
majority. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think as we've kind of discussed, I don't think, private pensions in any like alone are necessarily always the route. I think, if you're focusing on growing your reselling business and maybe that is your plan, that then you're looking at that, as you discussed, that kind of being your part of your retirement, then great. I think like that's, it can, as we'll discuss, these kind of things can be in all different forms, right? So I don't think,
absolutely.
I don't. It's a fine balance because naturally, you want the more you can reinvest, the more profitable your business can become to some degree. So it is obviously a fine line. The money that you're popping away in a pension isn't gonna, start generating you more sales, etc., and snowballing it the way that kind of eBay works, right? So I think there's a fine line. I think, like, my advice to anyone would be, and from a extremely like unprofessional, I don't really know about any of this stuff, so like you can just think like, what the fuck
Based
is
on
this
your
idiot talking
experience,
about?
right?
But would be like, have some sort of plan, whether that is just like, under the mattresses or pensions or, buying a flat in
Index funds
Nottingham or
or
crypto
yeah.
or whatever it is. I think it's never too early to at least think about what that is. And I think at the very least, looking into the state pension and where you're at in terms of that, to make sure that you get it, because that is going to be, I think, as Dan showed with the pension B, you need to put in a decent amount of money to get £200, £300, £400 a month, whereas the state pension will give you 900.
Yeah.
So I think you got to make sure you're going to get that, because that will likely be the majority of your income when you hit pensionable age.
And that's not going to cost as much to get that out instead of actually putting into the pension, right? So yeah, I mean, it's always good to diversify, right? So pick some out of index funds, property, rental property, dividend income, which isn't guaranteed. But I would say the younger you are, the more riskier you can go, especially if you don't have any responsibilities like children or you're living at your home with your parents. That is the time to go high risk. And then when you get 40 plus, it's time to start dialing down that risk and to try and keep it as a steady growth to the till you retire.
I just want to say, in terms of diversification, like, I'm totally on board with all of it, and hopefully I would love to do retail, not retail, like properties and stuff. But yeah, you're protected as well, isn't it? What's the protection rate? Is it 75 grand if you've got it in an account? If something happens financially, like if there's a world financial crisis, like it was in 2008, because it can never happen again.
Like we're on the brink of one.
Yeah, we're quite lucky in this country. We're protected up to I think it's 75 grand. So like diversifying into different things can protect you as well. Obviously, it's hard if you've got like millions of pounds in ISAs and everything. That's fine, But like, diversifying, particularly at this stage, is good. And I just wanted to one more point on the thing. I've got this app, Moneybox. I've just opened it up and I didn't realise. I probably did at one point, but I've got a lifetime ISA, but they also do personal pension and stock and shares ISA, and they have a thing on the button here, and you can change what you save each week. Oh, where is it? I don't know if you can see that now.
It's all blurry.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's blurry because your backdrop.
Yeah, you can change it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you can save the minimum of, like, I think it's £1 you can save, but because I save about £10 a week, it's about £40 a month on this one. And so if I'm feeling flush next week, you can put £20 on or £30 on, and you can change it. Whereas some places, I know Pension B, they just want direct debits. That's where all lump sums, like direct debits each month. Whereas this Moneybox, I'm not a spokesperson for it. It's really handy. It's very flexible. So yeah, Moneybox, it's an app. It's very good. That's all I'm saying. That's my endorsement. But yeah, that's it. That's my contribution to the pensions.
Well, that was a good discussion, actually. I thought it was good stuff.
Nothing on reselling.
Nothing
all
on
right.
reselling. Absolutely not. I'll have to put in big capital letters, pensions in the title.
Yeah, sorry. So I knew this was going to be super dry, but I do think it's an often overlooked part of being a sole trader, right? And
100%.
my wife's parents are in a very different field, but they own their own company, and they've fallen foul of this completely now, right? And now that they're trying to pile money into private pensions because they're hitting their 60s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we all need to. The earlier you can think about it, the better, right?
Absolutely.
And I think you can. Sorry, I just cleaning off what something I heard, that if you've got kids, you can open up ISAs in their name up until they're 17, is it?
Yeah,
and then
I've got one for Jack.
Yeah, and it transfers into there, so it's nice to put away that way, and it'll compound interest. So that even before, while they're literally growing up, it'll be making money for them in the future, which is great.
I think I put in £20 a month for Jack. But at the same time, they take £2 a month in fees. So that's something you got to be careful of. When you set up private pension, is the amount of fees that you pay. The lower the fees, the more you're going to be compounding the interest rather than giving it to them in fees, right? That's something else to look at, because there'll be a certain percentage that they take for admin and to look after their staff, I suppose. Well, I hit my head earlier on the shelf. I think I got a splinter in my head. Cool. There are some other bits I want to talk about, and it will be reselling related. So should we move on to those bits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a video earlier, a little short, and I put all my stuff in boxes, right? So all my boxes are labeled, all that sort of stuff. But what this guy does is he has them all on racks, all of his clothing on racks. I mean, he's got a bigger space, so he can.
Are you talking about Tech and Sports?
Yes. Yeah. So
I watch them as well.
All of his that's Chris from Daily Refinement. So all of his items are chronological order. So he knows what's oldest, essentially, at the beginning. So I just wondered what you guys thought about that, because mine are all in boxes, and if they're dropping off eBay, like mine have and George's have, then you can literally go through your oldest stuff. So I don't know what you guys do.
At first, it gave me a headache. I'm not going to lie. The way that he was describing it, I was like, "Oh my god, how is he doing that?" Like he said, it's age, and then it's like, because he said, "Okay, it's pieces, and then it's black." So I'm going to this section, and then it's like, "Oh well, it's sold on this date." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, exactly. A bit too much.
A1, yeah, I have A1, A2, A3. That's it. It's nothing like that. I mean, I think that's because he's got such a high-end operation and he's got people working for him. I suppose like he needs that kind of system, and he needs constant kind of rotation of stock and stuff like that. And I think he's grown exponentially like that. And I think I can see, like, obviously it works for him and everything. For me right now, and for like probably the everyday reseller and stuff, it's probably easy just to do boxes or whatever kind of system you want, but like boxes and stuff, because it's just, I think it's not just, I think a lot of it's space conscious, unless you've got enough money to have like a warehouse, which is great. But if you've got a warehouse, you can do that at the same time. So yeah,
I remember seeing one of Chris's, and he's got like the open top boxes all stacked on a line, and he's got them. He's got a label printer with the number that he puts on the custom skewer and attaches it in a bag. So I think, so then when he sells it, he just picks it out, right? And then he can move them all along, so he knows how much space he's got left, which is
it's
good.
quite a popular system.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are doing that with the cardboard boxes on the shelf, and it's good. I mean, it's saving. If I did that, it would save me time in consolidating. But because I usually consolidate on the go sometimes, but now that I've done it and I've realised, oh, eBay's knocked these listings off, it's a good way of getting to know your stock as well in a weird sort of way. It's like, yeah, keeping it lean and streamlined. I mean, I've got quite a bloated store at the moment, so it's forcing me to kind of confront that now before it starts really kicking off for Q4. So yeah,
I'm gonna bloat mine out a bit more today. I'm gonna go shopping after this. I've got some bags I'm gonna take to drop off as a donation that are just pure, not even worth a car boot. I don't think. See what I can do with it. What else was it? Yeah, scheduling. Do you have a set schedule every day?
You mean in terms of like how many things we list, or like just of when the hours that we work?
The hours that you do, essentially.
Not really.
No.
Just whatever. It's so bad. It's that makes it sound like it's just whatever I feel like it. If I've got time, like today, it depends on my other job. So it's like I have to finish at 2. So after this call, I'll just do some bits until 2. But there's some days where I have like whole days, and I just sort of sit down at sort of 9:30, 10 a.m., write down everything that needs doing, and then when that's finished, I'm finished.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just because the whole point of like the whole reason why I'm doing reselling is that I wanted a job where the harder I worked, the more money I made.
Yeah.
And if I finish at like Chris at Daily Refinement says, if you finish at noon, you finish at noon. Great.
Yeah.
If you finish if you go all the way to 5 p.m., also great. Like it's kind of it's just dependent on, because what I always hated about sort of office jobs is that you had to be there until 5, no matter if you finish your work at 3 p.m. You've still got 2 hours to sort of sit there and find something to do. Yeah, like I don't know, take an extended tea break or clean shelves out or just something. But it was like, well, I could be using this time, or I could have this time for myself.
Yeah.
I like the flexible nature. So it's kind of I think if I was doing it more often, like more full time, I probably would have a set schedule. But it's just kind of, I grab bits of time when I can. So it's kind of, just really flexible, which is what I like.
Yeah. I did have this schedule. I'll show you in a bit. Put it off the wall because it's not relevant anymore. Had that all set up. Look, check that out.
Is that laminated or is it just like?
No, it's not laminated, just taped to the wall. So essentially it says eBay packing first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
The white box is a post office. The pink one is a weekly sales video, which I don't do anymore. Green ones are eBay listing as well. And then the beige ones or the orange ones are bookkeeping work. So but yeah, and now I don't take a lunch break in between either. So because I've only got 6 hours a day to maximize everything. So I think what I'm going to start doing now is do mornings 9 till 12 eBay related stuff and social media and videos and all that sort of jazz, and then 12 till 3 is going to be bookkeeping work, because there's potentially another client that's coming on for about 20 hours a month at the moment for bookkeeping. So that's going to allow me to reinvest eBay profits back into eBay again. So rather than taking it as drawings. So yeah, but yeah, I was just wondering about scheduling and if you had like a set schedule like that.
No, I don't. I literally. It depends when I get up. But like, I was like last weekend on Friday and Saturday, I kind of spent like the majority of the day in the evening and into the early hours just doing like pictures listed. I just went on a full eBay binge and doing stuff for the business, and it was like non-stop for about. I felt like, I mean, it was and it felt quite good actually. I felt really productive. I had like a really productive weekend, and I was like, oh, I'm actually doing quite a lot, and I've done quite a lot. I've got everything kind of organized. So it's whether that'll last is one thing, but you do kind of. I feel like it's so flexible. Like you can do that. You know, you can go on like a binge and go, like yesterday I didn't do anything eBay related directly. I went to the eBay Open, so it's kind of eBay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just yeah, I think that's the great thing about the flexibility. You can kind of pick and choose. Like I've had a schedule on my whiteboard before. It only lasted like a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I started like wiping bits off and going out.
I suppose it's always a good way of listing what you need to do, like 10 to 15 items a day or whatever the targets you need to do.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
good to see it and think
done.
And then it's kind of been built in your brain then, and you do go through like phases. It's more like a reaction. It's like I've got things scheduled on the store, but I've got a bag here of like 10 items. And usually I used to do like the lives every day, and that was my work for the lives. I can't want to do that. But now it's like I'm not doing as many lives because I'm focused on something else. But like I've still got these bags here, and I was like, so I'll do my 10. I do my 10 usually, like my packaging, like probably around dinner time, posting that off, and then I'll do the 10 listings. So I don't really do stuff in the morning. I mainly do editing in the morning, honestly. I just kind of do my YouTube first and my socials, and then I kind of do my postage, and then I do my listings in the early evening. That's kind of the general. But then again, the other week, like I said, on Friday, I spent from like 5 in the morning to like 9 in the morning. I was watching Disney movies and I listed like 40 odd items just in a just a fit of listing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think whatever works for you,
Definitely.
that's great. But having structure helps, I think, even if it's like a loose kind of structure.
Yeah, definitely. And Jim doesn't sell on eBay, so you ain't got nothing to add to that one, have you?
No, but even when I did,
schedule.
I wasn't really particularly structured, to be honest with you. I mean, it was never horrifically busy for me, but there would be weeks where I would do nothing, to be honest with you, except, I mean, it was really only evenings and weekends because I was still working anyway. But I would typically prioritize the stuff that I had to do. So like packing, so I would just go through the motions, stuff like that I need to get out. So packing and postage. And then if I had like a Sunday where I, got a pass from the wife to go into the unit and do stuff, then I would probably try and get into like a mode of just like listing a load of stuff or scheduling a load of listings and just kind of blasting a few things out. But it was never really I knew that if I tried to keep to a schedule that it was just going to fail. So I think I didn't really want to set myself up for failure.
This is it. Yeah, like the schedule, like I've just pulled that off and thrown it away, because ultimately the schedule only lasts so long of what you've actually got to do. And then if you go, right, okay, well, I'm doing eBay stuff now, and you've got no eBay stuff to do, then do you just sit there for an hour? Do you know what I mean? This is my eBay time, right?
I know different things work for different people, but for me, I never really got into kind of listing challenges or like goals, stuff like that, because I know that I would just like start feeling shit about the fact that I'm missing all of my targets, right, regardless how low or how realistic I'd set them. If I had a day where I was like, I can't be bothered, I'd rather go and take the kids out to the park this evening rather than do anything. So that's a pretty poor way to grow your business, but
there has to be balance, right? Because otherwise you'd be in the office 24/7 and you wouldn't see anybody, you wouldn't have any social life, you wouldn't have any time with family. So ultimately there has to be a balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. I think we're coming to the end of this because we spent quite a bit of time on pensions, but is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
No.
No? Or should we leave it there? Because it's gone past, it's like just over an hour, which is pretty decent. Pretty decent time on a call. So I'll try and figure out some other stuff. I'll put in the HMRC link in the video and I'll send it to you guys as well, so you can see that. I'm sure you've already got it somewhere, Jem and George. I'll definitely send it to Claire.
Yes, please.
All right.
Appreciate you having us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.